All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to WiscWeb September Lunch and Learn 2025. We're just about to get started here. I'm Jenna Clinner. I'm the service coordinator for the WiscWeb team. I'm joined by Matt Goins, who's on cam here with his dog Watson. And we also have a few members of the WiscWeb team and the Office of Strategic Communications Digital Strategy team here today. So let's get started. A couple of things that we're going to chat through today. We have some updates and reminders. Those are mostly WiscWeb service specific, but we also have some UW Theme 2.0 release updates for you. And then Matt's going to do a little demo of a workaround for those of you who use Enable Media Replace for like fact staff profile images. So for WiscWeb service updates and reminders, these are things that we have emailed about. We just want to make sure the audience is aware. So please do check your emails from us. We send really important info. But first there's a pause on feature requests. We already had kind of a freeze on feature requests while we built out Theme 2.0, but just wanted to note like that will continue after the release. The reason for that is we'll need to focus on bug fixes and accessibility fixes right after launch. We imagine you'll find fun little things that we didn't find, and we'll want to get those fixed for you. So we're just going to pause those for a little while we get those wrapped in. Also, expect a delay in support requests. When we release the theme, it's going to be a busy time for us. It's already quite busy for us. So you may have a longer delay for support related emails that you send in, but we'll do our best. But if you experience a delay, that's why. Another reminder, there are several service changes related to the UW Theme 2.0 launch and new infrastructure. We've emailed about these. As I said, there was a large email that went out that had links to a bunch of different things that we've posted on our site. But just to reiterate, we have made the decision to remove Gravity Forms entries after 1.5 years. So what that means is from the date that you receive that specific entry, it will be removed after 1.5 years. After that point, you will not be able to retrieve it. So we do recommend kind of saving exports if you need them along the way. Gravity Forms has some really nice export options. What we heard in the Lunch and Learn last time from folks was like 1 year is ideal. So we bumped it to 1.5 just in case there's any internal processes that folks have. But this change is just being made to kind of remove data from the service that doesn't need to be there anymore from kind of a security perspective. Another piece that we did email about was fuzzy URL matching. This is kind of an interesting concept. Let me grab our article about this because I imagine this will be sort of tricky for folks to understand. But generally, WordPress natively does some things to try to kind of predict a page you might be going to. And that's not always helpful for the user. So what we're doing is kind of tweaking that behavior. There's the article in the chat, so that it doesn't try to predict the URL that you're going to if the URL you type is not exactly the URL that the page exists on. The reason for that is there are some unfortunate like kind of side effects of that happening. Those are kind of described in the article there. It's an expensive database search and can lead to slowdowns. It can impact things like SEO. There's a couple other reasons, but generally just noting that that behavior will be different in our UW Theme 2.0 environment. We have new infrastructure there in place, and that will feel a little bit different. So if you notice that, that's why. There are some things that you can do if this does impact any of your pages, including creating redirects for links that maybe used to work before. This will make more sense once you get into that environment and you start to see how content behaves. But if you do notice that there's any URLs that are just like not resolving anymore, it's probably because we changed something called fuzzy URL matching. I'll pause there in case there's any additions that the developers would like to add for that one. All right. And then the last one here is just a note on UW Theme Classic documentation. So as a reminder, UW Theme Classic is what we've dubbed the theme that you are all on now, which is sort of the theme that uses the page builder technology, and it's the theme that's going to soon be replaced by UW Theme 2.0. That documentation needs to still exist because many of you will still have sites in UW Theme Classic for at least, several months now. But you might you might need to get KB documentation. We just want to make sure we're differentiating between UW Theme Classic and UW Theme 2.0. UW Theme Classic documentation has been moved to its own space in the knowledge base to kind of help differentiate. And all the titles for those docs have now changed to denote. It looks like Matt already added the link to the chat. Thank you, Matt. For documentation regarding UW Theme 2.0, that will actually be living on the related informational site that will be linked out to from our release documentation. And that's where you would go if you had questions about how to do something in that new theme. So just noting that that shift has already happened. If you search in the KB, you'll still get the docs. They'll just, kind of have a UW Theme Classic title there. Any questions about any of those updates? All right. Another thing that we didn't talk about yet in these sessions, but I did post an article on our site. This really isn't going to hit too much yet, but Gravity Forms has this option for legacy markup currently. And any new forms you're creating, it's already defaulted to be off, but older forms might still have this on. We are not going to accommodate the legacy markup in UW Theme 2.0. So if your form still has this toggled on, your styles of your form might look weird in UW Theme 2.0, and that's why. All you have to do is turn it off. The reason we are not going to accommodate it in UW Theme 2.0 is because it's actually being phased out by Gravity Forms in a future update that will come next year. So just getting that information out early for folks. This shouldn't really impact much in your current sites, but when you move to UW Theme 2.0, if you notice any styling oddness, it might be because you still have this toggled on. If you don't remember this by that point, we'll just let you know in your support request. No problem. Questions about this one? And also grab the article about this because it does have a little bit more info. I would say on the whole, probably doesn't affect many folks to just turn that off, but the article does have some more details. There you are. That is in the chat. Okay, I think we can move on from there. DNS changes in WiscWeb's new infrastructure. This is something that we also emailed about. There's a couple different things here. So the first is just that, as a reminder, if you have a non-wisc.edu domain that your site in WiscWeb lives at right now, that will need to change. So we will not be supporting things like .orgs as the URL that your site is mapped to. You can still use them, but you need to forward it to a wisc.edu domain. We've been doing that for a number of years now. So if you still do have a non-wisc domain for your site, it's just because it had been there and we didn't require you to change it before. But as you move into UW Theme 2.0, that shift will need to happen. So like I said, you can still use your .org in your marketing materials, but it'll just have to forward or redirect to your wisc.edu domain. And just getting the article queued up for this. I didn't add it to the slide, but as a reminder too, your site has to relaunch in UW Theme 2.0. So this article does touch on that. I'll add that to the chat. And then the last bullet here is very specific. I don't want to get too technical. This can get really confusing, but there will be a www domain requirement for certain websites. This is a very specific use case, and it's a very small number of sites that are impacted. The reason for this is we're going to be using CNAMEs for DNS records in the future, and we're not going to support static IPs in the future infrastructure. We've already, since this is highly technical, we've already contacted delegated host masters who may need to make changes to your DNS setup when you launch in UW Theme 2.0. So they already have this information. And we'll let you know if you schedule a launch, if you're impacted. If you are impacted, what we can do is your site will have to live at www. Whatever your domain is, but we can set up a redirect from the non-www version of your domain to the www version, so that if a user does not type in www, they'll still get to your site. So I would say on the whole, this should impact small number of users. A redirect will be available. Hostmasters are already contacted, and we'll let you know when you schedule your launch if you're impacted. That information is also in the article that I linked from the chat just now. So that's there if you need it. And you can reach out to us if you have questions about that change. All right. You may proceed, Matt. Release schedule. So we have talked about this a bit. I just wanted to reiterate kind of what this will look like for UW Theme 2.0. It is imminent. We're so close to releasing that theme. You're going to hear from us very soon on that. I just wanted to remind you that the initial release is just for build from scratch sites. That is folks that don't require any type of migrated content. Literally, it's going to be an empty project in UW Theme 2.0, and you'll build everything from scratch. Later this fall, so a couple weeks after the initial release, we will open up the option to migrate your existing WiscWeb site over into a new UW theme site in WiscWeb. That's where we enable migration tooling to help map content from like the page elements over to Gutenberg blocks. And you'll kind of have more of a starting point with your content. We're just kind of differentiating here just for awareness. Starting with build from scratch sites just allows us to stress test our new infrastructure before we start migrating major sites over with a ton of content. So that's why we're making that change. I swear your time is coming soon if you're migrating. Later down the road, we're targeting kind of migrating from non-WiscWeb to WiscWeb. It's just that we have been focusing our time on the initial release and migration for WiscWeb to WiscWeb. If you're non-WiscWeb right now using UW Theme Classic and want to come in, we still want to talk to you and we can kind of chat about what that will look like, but there won't be an elegant migration process for you until later. So stay tuned on that. Any questions about that release schedule?
I have a general migration question, if I could ask it.
Absolutely, you
For
can.
the digital publishing and printing services, everyone's favorite place to go for printing, we will obviously have to transfer our site over. We have a lot of old forms that we use with a few customers where they send customer data. So those are pages, I'm assuming, that we don't need in the future. I mean, we might keep the
Okay.
last few, but there might be
Yeah.
3 years worth of forms. If we were to ask for a migration, can we ask for like those not to come over or no?
No, I would clean that right out right now, Rich, if
Okay,
you
so
can.
like
Yeah.
maybe right before we want the migration, we could
Yeah.
purge some of those pages, but they would count as pages, right? A form is a page.
Yeah, we're literally going to be picking up your existing site as a copy. So everything that was there, move it over. And so things like form content would carry over.
Yeah,
And we don't have a way to kind of selectively choose what comes in. It's going to
right,
be the whole
right,
thing. So you can either clean it up on the back, like before, or you can clean it up after, but you will
right.
have to clean it up. So it's your choice, but it might be good to do it before so that you're just starting with the blank stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the other alternative that we would have would be to do a complete recreation of our website, depending on, I mean, I don't, my counterpart that's involved in this kind of said, oh, we're going to just start from scratch. I was like,
Yeah.
well, We
You
don't have
could.
to. Right,
Yeah, you don't have to. No one's required to start from scratch. If you're an
right,
existing WISC website, you will have migration tooling. The one benefit I will say is a great way to learn the theme. So if maybe you have time to do it, you have a smaller site or something like that, and it just works for you to build from scratch, that's great. Maybe you're redesigning your whole site and you're just like, I don't need um, much of this content. I kind of want to start fresh. That's cool too.
right.
Sort of depends on your needs, but generally it is a great way to learn the theme. We found that out when we transitioned over to WordPress years ago. The folks who built from scratch did learn the theme a little bit deeper than those who kind of got their sites migrated for them. But um,
Sure.
it's not always going to work well for folks, especially with, I know a number of our users have very limited time and capacity, so that
Yeah,
is
and
not
I would say the
required.
most important thing on our order entry site is connecting to other web services. Like our order entry site is hosted by another company, but
Mm,
you get there through the front end of our website. So really for
mhm.
us, it's the connectivity of all of those things. I'm looking on our site in the background right now. We have 38 pages, and most of those, like I said, are forms that I could abandon.
Wow.
Really, we probably
Interesting.
only
That's a
have
lot of forms. Yeah.
yeah. So we probably have, one page worth, which would be what, 15 to 20 real pages that we're trying to bring along. So yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
can talk about that another time about where the sensibility is at that point. So
Okay.
thank
Thank
you.
you,
I
Rich.
I wanted
Oh,
to sort of I just wanted to sort of clarify a couple of things that Rich was saying and that you were answering there. So forms themselves are not pages. They are content that is built within your WordPress environment that you then place on a page via a shortcode. In our case, it's the shortcode that you grab from the copy shortcode functionality there. So if you have those forms on pages when we migrate your content from Classic into the new server, those pages will come over with the forms. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to delete the forms. You would just have to remove them from the pages that they're on so that they don't show up in that new content. You could do that now if you're feeling like you no longer need them. So that's one option there. The second option is, and I think I can't remember what the next slide says, but I want to make sure that I clarify or that we clarify the what the timing of all of this and what the process of all of this means. So, Ketter just answered one of the questions, which is when the theme launches, is it available for anybody to download as well? So yes, when we launch the theme initially, we sort of have to talk about this from both the WiscWeb side of things as well as the campus side of things. So when we launch the theme, WiscWeb will have the option for the from scratch site build. So you could request a site and build your site out from a blank project similarly to what you had to do when you first requested a site from WiscWeb way back in the day. So it'll be a blank project within our service that has a something.wiscweb.wisc.edu URL to it, and you will build your content out in it, and then you will launch that site. If this is a new site, it'll be similar to what we've done in the past, where you will request the launch, you'll choose the URL that you want, we'll make sure that the URL is okay, and then we'll launch to it. If you're building from scratch, but you want to launch to your existing URL, same process, but we'll just need to know that part of the step process as well, because we have your WiscWeb classic site that won't need to be migrated in, and then we'll just need to eventually archive that one when you launch your from scratch site to your same URL. So that's what happens in September. Whenever we get to it this fall, when we're finished with the migration process, it'll be a sort of similar process where you will request from us that you want to migrate your content. We will basically pick a copy of your project up and move it to our new server and drop it there, and it will still be a something.wiscweb.wisc.edu project URL. At that point, you can clean it up, do all the migration steps that you're going to need to do. I posted the link to the video already. There are some steps that you're going to have to go through. We continue to improve that process. So what I showed last month might not be what you experience when we get to the migration process. And when we do, I will do another lunch and learn or another info session to kind of walk through what the actual process will look like for you all. But regardless, you will have that opportunity to migrate, clean up, delete, remove, update, whatever it might be, that content in your new UW Theme 2.0 site, and then you'll have to launch that site as well. So you still have to request a launch for it to go to your desired URL. So, for example, housing, we'll pick up housing, move it over, put it into our WiscWeb project. Brendan and his team will go in. They will take a look at all of that content. They'll migrate as necessary, delete, update, make the changes that they want to make. And then Brendan will request that that new project launch to www.housing.wisc.edu. And then we will relaunch that site to that new URL. So during that step in between migrate or classic and new launch, you're in that project URL. So you can still go in and make all these changes. So the reason why I wanted to emphasize all of this was because of what Rich was saying about like cleaning it up beforehand. Technically, you don't need to. You can clean it up after the fact in the project URL as well, because then you'll have a better idea of the way things will be laying out, how you want your navigation maybe to be, any redirects you might think you need, things like that. You might have a better idea of that once you've migrated it into the new server and into the new theme. So again, I've told a lot of people about the fact that now you could be doing some cleanup work and thinking about what you do want to migrate over, but that's just now work that people could be doing. You could still do that when you create the migration process, because again, we don't have a set timeline of when you need to, aside from it needs to be done by the end of next. Well, we're hoping to have it done. I shouldn't say needs to. We're hoping to have it done by the end of next calendar year, of the end of 2026. So that's kind of where we are right now with the steps that you'll need to take. So from scratch, go in, build, go nuts. Migration will come later. You'll still have some steps, but it's still a project that you need to relaunch. So don't think that it's going to be a bang bang sites there kind of thing. There's still some work that needs to be done, some steps that you need to take to make that happen. So, and again, we'll reiterate this next month and when we get to the actual migration process and all that stuff. But I wanted to hit on what the timing needs to be for you all so that you understand the processes that you're going to need to follow. So, all right, let's look at the chat.
I can reiterate some of the answers we did provide in the chat as you were chatting, Matt. So someone asked, if our sites are small and we'd rather rebuild, can we request a new build instead of migrating, or will that cause issues? You can 100% request a build from scratch site instead of migrating your site. That is absolutely okay. You are not required to migrate your existing site. If you'd prefer to rebuild, that's from scratch, that's totally fine. Another user asked, can we build from scratch and import instead of migrate? So here's why I kind of noted in the bullets here that it is literally an empty project. Our preference is for you to wait for the migration period. If there's any content you need to move in, we will try our best to accommodate those requests, but ideally build from scratch is truly build from scratch. We'll have to just work around certain things. I know there's some timelines that folks have on things, and we'll do our best, but ideally build from scratch is build from scratch and no kind of import of content. Does the September release also include a release of just the theme, or for non-WiscWeb sites, or no, or not? Yes. So if you are not in WiscWeb and you're just looking for the theme files, those will also be available when we release the theme. There will be a download option for that. Another user asked, we already requested a domain name for a new site, but haven't built anything yet. Does that qualify as empty to be built in UW Theme 2.0? This is nuanced. If you have a project site in WiscWeb and you've never added anything to it, you still need to request a new site in UW Theme 2.0. If you have a site in UW Theme Classic in WiscWeb, you've built out some content, but you never launched it, that needs to migrate in or be rebuilt. It doesn't just come into UW Theme 2.0. I'm trying to think of other questions that this could be touching on. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question on that one. There was something that Rich posted that was very helpful, but I can't find it now. It was just sort of a general statement.
The comment was when you migrate,
Yeah,
that you take a long time between
yes,
fixing up your site and launching it. You have to be updating the classic site
correct.
and the 2.0 because migration
Yes.
happens in one instant. And then after that, daily things that you're posting are not added to the new site.
That's
You got to double
exactly
post.
right.
So you
Yes.
might want to
It is
plan
not
for a time.
syncing.
Right. You want to plan for a time when you can do that cleanup and double checking in a relatively short period of time where
Yes.
your website is not having a lot of action. Would make
Correct.
the most
So
sense.
Matt kind of touched on this, but your site is just a copy of what you had in that moment when you asked us to migrate it. If you continue making updates to your old site, they have to manually be added to your new UW Theme 2.0 project site until you launch that. Your old site will still remain up and active at your regular domain until you launch in UW Theme 2.0. So during that period, you have dual entry on any updates you need to make, which is why we suggest not starting the process until you know you have time to work on that, because it would, if you have limited time, it's a longer period where you have to keep both updated.
Yeah, and to emphasize, we're doing this once. We're
Yep.
migrating your content once. So
Yeah.
if you request your migrated site and then all of a sudden things change because somebody made some decisions on your end and you're like, "Oh, we had to do this overhaul. Can you migrate the site again?" No.
Yep. We can,
So
I think
have
a
that in
really good,
mind.
and a little nugget for you all is like, all of this is a major undertaking for our team. We're not just rebuilding the theme with Office of Strategic Communications. We're also we had to build our new infrastructure. We have to maintain infrastructure in both places, and we have to assist with training and helping migrate folks over the next year. So we will be at very limited capacity. So we won't be able to resync your sites repeatedly. Once you tell us to hit go on migrating, you're getting one migration, and then anything else you need to manually keep up to date.
So I want to touch on the other questions that came in about it's all or nothing, start from scratch or migrate, no importing until migration begins. So that's one question that we've gotten quite a bit over the past couple of months. It's ramped up obviously since we did the migration video last week. But so right now we haven't we have talked about the idea of exporting sites that want to export their. So let's say you have a site that's not a WiscWeb site, but it's still a UW theme site. We have a few of those that have shown interest in coming into WiscWeb. We don't have a migration path for a non-WiscWeb site to come into WiscWeb. That's kind of what that later timing unknown step is. So because two things here. One is we don't have anything planned for that yet because we're still trying to decide on what the best way for us to do that is. Because it's still that content still has to be migrated somehow because ideally you're going to be exporting a UW theme site to import into a WiscWeb UW theme 2.0 site. So it's still a theme to theme import and that content will still have to migrate. We just don't know how that process is going to look for us because we need to make sure that it works correctly so that your content comes over, your media comes over, and it's not an exceptional burden on our services or having to support non-WiscWeb content coming into WiscWeb. It just, not that we won't, it becomes more of a burden on us to have to support that process. You're coming into WiscWeb, great. I want to help you get to WiscWeb as any way I possibly can, but it just becomes one more burden if your content is requiring a little more massaging. So to answer that question, yes, we intend to have an export into an import option there. We just don't know what that's going to look like, and I don't want to say that that's something that will be available when we actually start the migration process, because it's a different type of migration. It requires different steps than what the WiscWeb migration is going to look like. So again, I don't want people to I when the flood doors open, I don't want everyone to try to rush through the flood doors. It's okay to wait. Um, you know, talk to us, meet with me during office hours, chat about what your timeline should be, what things you can start to do to get ready. But like, you know, whenever we do this, this is not a guarantee, but I'll say mid-October, we say, okay, we're going to start migrating. We don't need 2,000 sites saying, let's go right now. It's okay to wait. It's okay to wait until you're ready. But again, we do have timelines in place, but it doesn't have to happen right away. What's the latest we can migrate from cloud? Is there any downside to waiting? I kind of sort of answered that. I don't think there's a downside to waiting. The latest, I wouldn't put this on the back burner until like next fall or something like that. But I would say maybe if you're wanting to wait a little bit, maybe you wait until spring.
I think
But
it's
sorry,
still
go ahead.
like, because Sheena asked the question like, is summer break acceptable? Like summer 2026? Yeah, you can wait until summer as long as you have time then to
Sure,
wrap
yeah, that's
up.
what I was thinking about was
Yeah, it's like
making
if
sure you
summer
give
works
yourself
better,
time.
just
Yeah,
make sure you're wrapping up by the end of 2026. I
yeah,
will note December is a crazy time in terms of launches, so it is beneficial to get that done sooner if possible, just because a lot of folks are on vacation in December, and so we'll have a little bit more limited ability to like launch site at the time you want, or the date and time you want it launched. So I would really try to budget for having it done, um, by fall at the very latest, but we're giving the full year so that folks have that timing. Um, what's the latest? Okay, we answered that question.
yeah.
Um,
I think we've gotten to all the questions.
I think so. Really good questions. I think a lot of this will start to make more and more sense as you request your new sites, as we're able to push out more definitive documentation on things. We have a lot of things like queued up, ready for the release, and we'll be sharing a lot more of that with you very, very soon. We're
And
also hoping to, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, and we've been living this for the last several months, so it's easy for us to make some assumptions. We can't even begin to know what type of questions you all might have, what types of problems you might run into, because while we've been troubleshooting and improving and fixing and creating and all that jazz, we've been doing it with knowledge. And, we're about to turn you all loose on it with hopefully some confidence that it's not going to be difficult. It's just going to take time. But we don't know what types of questions you all might have. We don't know what types of problems you might run into. We don't know what your timelines might look like. So, yeah, we just want to make sure that we have enough, we can support you as best we can throughout this process. Because again, there's only a few of us that are able to actually do the support part of this thing. So we're trying to make it as seamless and painless as possible while still being able to answer all the questions that you.
Yeah, feel free to keep adding questions there and we'll kind of answer them as we're able. Um, just as a heads up, I think the October lunch and learn session will be heavily focused on migration, if that helps too. We can probably go to the next slide there, Matt. I do want to reiterate something that we've been trying to note, but I don't know if it's resonating for folks. Udemy Theme 2.0, that functionality is simply replacing what the Udemy Theme Classic theme had in it. And there are a number of plugins that were not actually functionality built into the theme, that were just things that WiscWeb built and provided. Those include like Udemy events, Udemy publications, things like that. Those have to be rebuilt for Udemy Theme 2.0 and may not be ready when we release the theme. We're doing our best to try to accommodate things in sort of a priority order based on usage. So right now we're working on rebuilding Udemy events, but that will not be ready for release, and neither will Udemy publications. Gravity Forms, this title, sorry, I should have updated this slide titling. Plugins not yet ready does not apply to Gravity Forms integration with, oh no, it does. That is a plugin, sorry. Gravity Forms integration with Eloqua Salesforce is a custom plugin that we've built as well. That takes your form submissions and pushes it out to those platforms that will not be available. UW Social Share is a little feature that allows you to share like your posts via button on your post pages. That will not be available. If these things are required for your site and you can't launch without them, we would highly recommend waiting on requesting a new site. Release logistics. So we anticipate we're going to get a heavy influx of requests for Udemy theme sites when we first open this option for folks. Please expect slight delays with that. It's just, you know, us processing those requests. And I think that will get better with time. Might just take a little bit longer than it does now to hear back. As we've mentioned several times, all sites will need to relaunch in Udemy Theme 2.0. Even if you're migrating, you'll have to schedule that because we have to move DNS records and remap those sites. WordPress Playground. So when we did user testing back in February, we kind of told folks about this option called WordPress Playground, where you could just play around with the block editor. There's a really nice ability that this feature has where we can upload our theme and plugins and create a kind of playground or sandbox environment for you. This is something we're going to advertise when we, like the official link, will advertise when we release the theme, but just noting you will have an opportunity to touch and play around with the theme in sort of a sandbox environment before you even request a new site. In fact, please don't request a site just to play around with the theme. Like we said earlier, if we are asked to migrate your site, you're getting one migration. So the second that we do that, that's your chance. If you're just wondering, like, what can I do in here? The playground will be the place for that. It's really lovely. Big shout out to the Stratcom team for setting that up. And so I think that was Nate Finch, the developer, and Ketter Joyner did some really nice documentation on this. This will be coming soon. We'll link out to it from our release email, so you'll get that. But it's a great opportunity to play around, something that we didn't have previously. That's very exciting. And I will note more migration info will be coming too. We'll be sharing that after we get through the initial release. You'll be hearing a lot more about migration. Yeah, Ketter gave some good kudos to Nate. Yes, I think Playground is a great spot to just play around with that theme. Udemy Publications Research. So as I said, this is not a plugin that we have built yet for Udemy Theme 2.0 because it's a custom WiscWeb plugin and it was never packaged as part of the theme. Our current plugin is a little bit bloated and we kind of want to revisit it. We're looking into current use cases for publications to understand needs. Generally, we're seeing usage of this plugin is relatively low, and we're wondering kind of what folks are using, what the needs are, and this will help inform our next steps with this kind of like feature. If you're interested in sharing your use case, please just note in the chat and we will follow up with you as we're able, as we start doing some more of that research.
I
So
will
if
also
you're
say,
using,
sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
if you're using publications
Yeah.
or need
Um,
publications on your site.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that we've been doing, Andrea has done this, and we do this from time to time as well, is for those of you who are not in it, I will put the link into the WordPress users chat channel. But it's a good spot to go for information and for just general talking about WordPress, the theme, etc. Um, we poll that channel a bit for use cases and understanding the use of certain types of content. Publications will be one of those things that we're kind of looking at. We're going to be needing to do some research into how it's used, how can it be used, and use that to sort of help us direct our efforts towards building or rebuilding that particular plugin, because it is a beast of a plugin that I think we can really streamline and make better. We just need to make sure we make it right. Bubbalooba. Oh, it's me. Demos time. Okay, let's stop the share. Okay. Move. Okay, so I am going to demo. Let me share, not screen one, screen three. There you go. I'm going to demo. One thing we chatted about last month was we're getting rid of the Enable Media Replace plugin, which is a plugin that was used for when you upload media to your media library. It then can be replaced by a new image so long as it is the same file name there. Sorry, I was just looking to see if Michael was here. I don't see Michael here. He's the one that we were talking with about this issue specifically. So anyways, all right. So the use case was you have a faculty staff member who you have their faculty staff page that you have created, which has, a profile image of them. But then you also want to use that same media library item, that same JPEG, in like a post and a page and things of that nature. And so one of the ways that we can get around, not so much get around this, but to use the new theme and some of the setup that we have with that is, let's say, for example, if I go to my UW people page here, and lo and behold, there is a faculty staff member of Senior Watson, back when he was just the little puppy when I got him. And you all saw him a little bit ago here on me. So I have this image of him up there. So I can now go to a page and let's see, page information. And so, it's a program information page. And so what I did was I added a two column block here, a columns block, two columns. First column has several paragraph blocks in it, and then this column here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add the UW people listing there. And so when you add the UW people listing, you'll see that it defaults to, a full listing of all the people that I have added. So what I can do is over here on my settings sidebar, I can go in and I can change it from a list type of everyone to a list type of individual people and then select Watson. And so now there's Watson there. I don't need all this information. So now what I can do is, again, continue to go down and go to content options. I don't need any of his actual details unless I wanted to add that. And because this is just like, it's a message from the director or something like that, I don't really need his profile page linked either. So I can uncheck or, hit the slider there for that so that it doesn't link to it. And so now I have updated this particular piece of content with an image of a person. So now what I can do is if I publish this page and I'll just open it in the background here, and there it is. There's Watson in all of his glory. Now what I can do is I can go to my UW people page and Watson gets a new profile image. So now what I'll do is I'll go and I'll edit his content. I'll go into here. I'll remove that image. Did I upload his new one? I didn't. So now what I need to do is go find the one that I just grabbed. Okay, there's my alt text for it. There's the picture of him. Select. There's his updated image. Hit save. I've now updated that image of him on his profile page. So now when I go to this program information page, it updates to that new image that I had updated for him. And so this is kind of the workaround of that need is you can use the faculty staff listing, or I'm sorry, the UW people listing. I have to get used to saying that. The UW people listing to display individual people in different locations and pull the content from their UW people post into wherever you use that content throughout your site. So it'll be a nice way for you to use the sort of replace option in those varying places that you use this for. So, any questions on that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chat. I have chat open. Yep,
Yeah,
he
so
is so big.
we're showing that because as a reminder, last time we talked about how enable media replace is going away. Folks said that one of the things they do is replace images for bio stuff. So this is a really nice workaround where you can keep that in one place and have it update elsewhere.
Shared across sites. I don't want to
No.
overspeak because I can't. I know, but I can't remember how patterns work. So I don't know if something exists in a pattern, like a synced
Yeah.
pattern. Like, I guess that's an Andrea question. Like, technically, no.
I don't think that synced patterns would work across sites, but
Okay,
let me
like
know if
this.
I'm
Yeah.
wrong on
Okay.
that, Andrea.
I
But
don't know.
I would say anything with sharing across sites, we'll let you know if it is possible in the future. But like generally, we've avoided trying to build things that can do that because it can get quite messy. So usually we're not building that unless it's just like pulling in a URL or something. Is WiscWeb 2.0 doing any image compression? Let me just bring up, I don't know if any devs want to jump into that, but I can bring up like we have a ticket where we were kind of looking into some image stuff.
I can speak a little bit to the image compression. We are. There is some newer settings on the infrastructure where images will compress a little bit better than our classic UW theme WiscWeb setup, which is great. But also, we have kind of sizing changes on the images so that the traditional WordPress large image is a little bit bigger, which is good because that means that people will use that large size rather than the full image size, which might be 2 to 4 megabytes sometimes, depending on what you upload. The large size should probably only be a couple hundred kilobytes. So the large image size will be good for like your full width, splashy hero image type thing. So by having a little bit large image size, we're compressing that image and it should still look acceptable for those like really nice pieces.
I'll
So
also
I just
note web, oh, just really quick
no,
on
go
the
ahead.
image stuff. We're also going to be supporting WebP images in the new infrastructure. So if you
Yeah.
have those images and would like to
Yeah. I just saw Laura's question in there. Can you move the image up? So one of the things that you'll notice is the UW people listing block has padding inherently built into it. Um, I guess I negative margin to a group, perhaps. Mm, margin isn't an option for the column, and I can't. Um, and I don't know if I can do a group here to affect this particular function.
Right, you'd have to wrap it in a group and then move that whole group up. This is a pretty advanced move, but in theory, yes, you could move it up.
So I'd have to put this in a group, the whole column block,
No,
just this
just the
one.
people listing. But this is good feedback that um, the spacing is kind of what you get from that people block for sure.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But this is a little more advanced. So yes, it's possible. It's just going to take a little bit of work. Any other questions, thoughts? Are credentials part of the UW profile? Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
that's
you'll
important.
notice down here in content options, there is a credentials there. I'm sorry, I didn't add any for Watson. His
Best boy.
best boy, yeah.
There's a question that's kind of unrelated to UW Theme 2.0, asking for an update on Kaltura embeds. Matt, I'll just like let you share what you just
Oh,
um, found out.
what did what I
Basically,
just
no news.
yeah, what I just found out is
Yeah,
no news.
no
Although
news.
I suppose telling you all that there's no news is still news to you all. So, anyways, for those of you who are not aware, Kaltura embeds stopped. I shouldn't say stopped, are not working across the board the way that they had been beforehand, and it's um, inconsistent. That's the word I was looking for. Inconsistently um, uh, uh, breaking in some cases. So I created a ticket, or I opened a ticket with our Learn at UW team here at Madison, who sort of oversees the Kaltura space, the media space area. So they couldn't figure it out. So they actually created a ticket with the vendor. The vendor couldn't immediately figure it out either. So now the vendor has escalated it within their teams to their engineering team. And so basically, I am 4 layers of the onion away from an answer. And that's unfortunate, but that's just kind of the reality of where we sit is no news because it's broke, nobody knows why, and they're trying to figure it out and they haven't told me why. So, and I've sort of been poking the bear every couple weeks since this started. So I don't know. I'll continue to be a nuisance about it until we get an answer. So yeah. But it is annoying. It is frustrating to not be able to do that. Bum, 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 bum. Watson. That's what he's named. He is named after John Watson. Dr. John Watson.
You need a Sherlock hat, Matt,
I do. I need my Sherlock hat and pipe,
and pipe.
which we learned what the type of hat was at the last one, and I can't remember what type of hat that is now.
Remember,
I don't either. What type of hat Sherlock wears.
someone knows.
Yep. Come on, team. A deer
Deer
stalker. That's it.
stalker.
Yep.
I'll never remember that.
I will never remember it either.
But great. All right. Well, we are at almost 1 p.m. here, so we'll probably wrap up there, or at least stop the recording. We
Yep,
can
we can
maybe
stop the
hang out for a
recording.
little bit if there's any additional questions.
Stop.